Okay, again, this last example in this section involves unit conversions between the two systems, right? One place that it would come up a lot, not that you're going to be driving along and see a sign and say, ooh, I better get my notebook and calculator out and start calculating the difference, right? But when you're in the States and you're looking at road signs, they're in miles, whereas your car, if you bought it in Canada, the odometer on the thing is in kilometers, and you might need to match that up. Maybe if you have a new enough car, and I don't know if they actually, and even on new cars, if it's a digital odometer, if you can, it'd be nice if there was a button you could push to switch it. Some cars I think have that, where you have a button you can change it from miles to kilometers, but most cars don't have that yet. Anyways, so the two problems involved here involve unit conversions. For some reason, for miles per hour, they use that type of notation, mph. But for some reason, we don't say, I guess maybe this would be too many letters, kmph. Instead of kmph, they put a slash, right? That means per hour, that slash, kilometers per hour. I don't know why they don't do miles like this, miles per hour, but nonetheless, that's the way they write it. Anyways, if we're going to do some unit conversions for this, you have 75 miles an hour. I don't want you to think unit conversions are all that difficult. If you know whether you're dividing or multiplying, I'm fine with that. So I'm going to do it two ways here. I'm going to do it using the unit analysis way, so I better leave myself enough room here. 75 miles per hour. If I'm doing unit analysis, I want to get rid of miles per hour. I don't really need the per hour part in here, right? If I know that 1 mile per hour is the same as 1.609 kilometers per hour, right? Miles and kilometers. That's the conversion factor. Then I can just do it, right? Because this cancels, and I'm left with what I want, kilometers per hour. And then all I need to know is, this is just reminding me that I multiply, not divide. Because a lot of people end up doing it the wrong way. It's a way of remembering whether you multiply or divide, is setting up this unit analysis thing. So if you do that, then again, just go to your calculator. If you were doing this just kind of in your head, you just use 1.6, but I would say for this, since we have the calculator, let's use the full number. 1.6, 1.609, 120, right? Roughly 120.7, let's call it. If you want the exact number, of course, you can put it down there. 120.675, or roughly 120.7 is probably how accurate we want it. Okay, the other way you could do it is, if you know that you have to multiply, you could say 75 miles, and you could just say times 1.609. If you wanted to, you could say 1.609 kilometers per mile. You could write a rate like that. You could say there's 1.609 kilometers in a mile, so you could just say 1.609 kilometers per mile. And then the same thing here. It's basically doing exactly the same thing. Those cancel, and you know that you're multiplying, not dividing. Okay, and you'll get that same answer. The second one here, you might need to do a bit of thinking, because it involves possibly, that's your odometer. It says that right now. You need to look at the sign. You're going to Des Moines, Iowa, the exciting center of the universe. Des Moines, Iowa. 136, again, road signs in the States, those are in miles, right? 136 miles. So right now you're at this, and you're going to tack on 136 miles, but you can't just add it to that. You probably want to convert this first. You want to change 136 miles, you need to change that to kilometers, and then you can tack it on, right? So if you're doing this, same thing here, right? You have 1.609 kilometers in 1 mile. You multiply that on your calculator. 136 times 1.609. And you get that. Again, your number should be higher. You got to know that if you're changing it from miles to kilometers, the number that your answer should be higher. I want 218.8, let's call it. 218, whoops, 0.8 kilometers, right? Because that's gone. Now that's not your final answer, right? Because you got to finish it here. If once you've found that, let's make a bit of room here because we can always do this. I know you can't do that, and I hope that doesn't make you sad to see me create more space and you aren't able to do that. But so the odometer reading is going to be final odometer reading is going to be what it reads now, 108.756 kilometers, plus what you just found there, 218.8 kilometers. Or can we do that in our head? What do you think? It's still going to be 108. It is going to be, it's going to be 9 because it's not going to be more than that, but it is going to be 7.4, I think, right? And the best way to do that is to just look down here and cheat and pretend that you actually figured that out in your head. Okay, now your odometer might not have the decimal point there, so you probably are going to say our best guess is that it's going to read 5, right? Sometimes your trip odometer on your car has a decimal point, but the main odometer doesn't. All right? So that's that. That's working with that. I hope that's given you more than enough in terms of examples of unit conversions and how to do it. Just up to you now to get going and teach yourself how to do it relatively quickly and easily for yourself.